Hello and welcome to the Health Wizard podcast. I'm your host, Yelena Isoldi Medici, a health and life coach. I'm so excited that you're choosing to listen to my podcast because you are choosing to make your health your priority. The Health Wizard podcast is dedicated to teaching natural, easy to implement practices that you can use to get your health on track and become the person you used to be before getting sick and the person you're dreaming of becoming again, happy, healthy, full of energy, and living a life filled with joy. Now, very quickly, before we dive into the good stuff, I want to remind you that this podcast is intended for education and entertainment purposes only. This podcast is not a substitute for professional medical advice. If you have a medical condition, please seek the help of a licensed medical professional. I am not a medical doctor. I do not treat, diagnose, prescribe, or make claims outside of my areas of expertise. So by choosing to listen to the Health Wizard podcast, you take full responsibility for your own actions. And when you hear the testimonials of the people who were able to get well, realize that their outcomes depended on their effort and their specific situation. With that said, let's jump into today's episode. Please enjoy. Can you imagine spending close to $100,000 on your health and still getting absolutely nothing in return? If that's hard to believe, this is actually something that happens to a lot of the women that come our way. Sometimes it's done through the health insurance and sometimes it is straight out of pocket. This is exactly what happened to Danielle, a former client of mine and a graduate of my program who came to me having spent over $80,000 on researching her health and trying things that would help her get better. She has autoimmune conditions, she had gut issues, she had hormonal imbalance, and all she really wanted in her quest for health is to feel normal, is to be healthy, is to go back to living and being like the best version of herself. Now, you can imagine that when you do so much for yourself that anything new that comes on your radar makes you feel very skeptical, not a little bit, but a lot. So Danielle already tried everything that you can imagine that anybody with such health issues could try. And then she found me. We sat on a video call across from each other. She was looking at me, she herself, a health coach, saying, is there really something that you can do for me that I have not tried yet? So after much deliberation, considering every aspect of what can and cannot, should and should not be done, she decided to take a leap of faith. And it was a leap of faith that paid back with dividends. Today, you will be joining Sophie, my enrollment coach, and Danielle, my assistant coach, the very person that I just mentioned, as they take a deep dive into how women and men who are suffering with conditions like Danielle, like others that we have worked with, and that have already tried everything there is to try, and feel like they want to give up, yet they have an opportunity to achieve optimal health by using natural means only, and by saving their life moving forward. What you're going to hear throughout this conversation is very different and is going to help you see into a heart and mind of somebody who felt that there was no hope, yet she dared to believe that there was. You're going to witness Danielle's journey and her soul searching as she embarks on her health quest. Without further ado, here are Sophie and Danielle.
Thank you, Elena. I know that both Danielle and I are so excited to have this conversation. And Danielle is really the one that's going to be in the love seat today because she has actually walked the path of feeling ill, finding Elena, taking the scary leap of getting into the 360 health coaching program, and then watching her life bloom from there. So Danielle, I really want to ask you the question, where were you at when you found Elena? What was happening in your life?
Well, first I'll say I prefer the love seat over the hot seat. I really like that. Thank you for rephrasing. When I found Elena, I was experiencing severe pain, neuropathy. I had IBS and lots of other inflammatory issues for about 20 years. And I'd gone through waves with my health. I had done different programs and probably over the 20-year time frame gone to see about 50 practitioners.
Wow.
So I had good years or good months, bad months, and everything in between, ER visits, many, many days in bed, not being able to function and really give to my family. So this one particular wave was really tough for me. And no matter what I ate, I was experiencing a lot of inflammation. So literally my hands and my feet felt like they were on fire. I had headaches. There were lots of other different symptoms. I'm sure we'll get into that. But one particular day, I, did what I always do. I researched. I was, looking out for programs and things that were out online and doing my weekly research. And I came across the advertisement video that, Elena was kind of talking about her program. And I thought, you know what, something really is sticking out about this woman, and she seems really confident, and she's talking about things that jive with what I believe. And she's talking about results and success stories and 90% success rate and 100% success rate. And, that's not a common thing that you hear. So I saw the video. And I said, I'm just going to fill out a form and see if I can talk with her. It can't hurt. I've done this a million times, right? So I set up the call, and and the rest is history. But I was in a really bad place. I was in a very afraid place, not knowing what was going on with my health and how to get my symptoms under control. I had a lot of tools in my toolbox, and most of them were not working at that time. So I needed another answer.
So what I really want to know is, where was your belief at that time? Because you said that you were still researching, you were doing your daily research, as you said, yeah. But did you believe that a true turnaround was possible for you?
Okay, so I'm a big optimist, and I have believed that health was possible, healing was possible for a really long time. But it's different when I have a belief that healing is possible versus believing that it's possible for me. So I had, like I said, had gone to about 50 different practitioners, and out of the 50, 3 of them had success, high levels of success for people with autoimmune conditions, inflammatory digestive issues, and things like that. And so I knew that it was rare to reverse it. I knew it was rare. I knew that most people were not able to accomplish it, but I knew that there were a very small number of programs out there to help people. And so I believed that healing was possible. I believed that I had tasted little nuggets of it over the years through different treatments and therapies and things that I had done. But by the time I got to Elena and I went through that really low point, I had sort of lost my way. I lost my belief. I felt really discouraged. I felt like my family was just kind of looking at me like, you're the only one who eats healthy and you're the one who's sick all the time. I felt like I was going to be that mom who always had to rest, and that my kids were always going to view me as fragile. And, I just thought, well, maybe this is where I'm supposed to live. And I had lost my belief at that time, and I really needed help building it back up brick by brick.
So something interesting that you've mentioned here and that I've heard you talk about before was that you had a lot of tools. You said you had a lot of tools in your toolkit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you were doing all this research, and yet there must have been something missing because you were still suffering. Yeah. What was that?
Okay, so this is pretty funny. I actually got certified as a health coach through a national institute. It's called the Institute for Transformational Nutrition. And I had already learned so much about the body. So I had a lot of tools already that gave me temporary relief. And, I knew what diets are considered beneficial. I tried, I did paleo AIP, I did the Candida diet, I did keto, I did, so many different variations. And, I tried meditating, I tried yoga, but the problem was when people have inflammatory conditions, a lot of times it's combined with brain fog. And when there's supplements and different diets and you're trying this thing and that thing, the immune system can get confused. Mm-hmm. And so what people really need to heal is not complex, it's simple. So I knew at that point I did not need, I didn't know everything, but lack of knowledge was not necessarily my core issue. I can always learn new things, but it was really, I needed something a lot deeper than that. I needed a lot more partnership, support, empowerment. I needed somebody to walk the walk with me to make sure that I stayed on track without babying me, truly empowering me. And so that was what I was missing. I was missing the troubleshooting part, the dialogue, the hard conversations even. I remember in my initial conversation with Elena, I said, I come from corporate. I'm a pretty intelligent person, and I can talk circles around people when it comes to saying the right thing. So if you ask me, how was my diet this week? I can say, well, it was great. And, but this thing happened and this thing happened. I know how to work the system, and I need you to know that in advance, because I need someone who's going to bring to the surface what the deep issues are and help me get out of my own way so that I can actually achieve the real health without the complexity, without the saying the right things, without being super articulate, just to really help me at the core to find the answers and walk that walk with me.
So as you know, Danielle, but just to tell the people who are watching, I'm their enrollment coach, right? So I talk to a lot of women who are incredibly sick of having the answers, but feeling like everything they try is a Band-Aid. And you said that you were really tired of having temporary relief. Mm-hmm. So what is the difference? Or maybe it would be the same answer you just gave. What do you think is the difference between Band-Aids and lasting results?
Well, pursuing temporary relief is a lot easier than pursuing transformation. Oh, I can tell you that. It's safer. It's more comfortable. It's more popular. And it feels like it's transformation when you're taking baby steps. So I used to get addicted to hope. So during my journey of 20 years, I would go and I would research, oh, I found this new thing. Oh my gosh, this person had this success and this person is healed from this. And that chemical of hope gave me almost like a lift or a pick-me-up. And during that time, I would physically feel better. Like it might have lasted a week or 2 weeks or something like that. And then I would drop back down. And then I would find the next thing. And then that would give me a little bit of hope. And then I would take this supplement. And wow, after taking this supplement one time, all of a sudden, my gut issues are feeling better. And oh, my brain fog seems like it's going away. And it really wasn't those things that were creating that. It was the hope that was creating it.
Wow.
So once I realized after year after year after year, and my family kind of turned in the other cheek when I brought another idea to them, I had to ask myself, with sobriety, like, am I really just chasing temporary solutions and not being consistent with them, and then using, giving the excuse of, well, nothing works, because I really wasn't truly committed to the long haul in the first place. I had to be honest.
So then, and thank you for being honest with that part of your journey. But given that that's where you were at, what was it that made you decide to join 360 Health Coaching?
So I'll start out by saying I was resistant. I was not resistant because I didn't believe in the program itself. But when we talk through things, we talk through the details of the program. Some of it at the surface level sounded similar to things I had already tried. And financially, I just thought there is no way in the world that I'm going to commit and invest like this. I already have all the answers. I know what functional practitioners to go to. I know I need to get more sleep. I know I need to get more sunshine. And so I just said, thank you. This sounds like a really good program, but I think I have everything I need. And So I had a conversation with Elena. I'll never forget. It was the first time I saw her in person. We had a one-on-one conversation and we were just talking through things. And the first thing I noticed was she was not trying to convince me to do anything. She just was who she was. She was a woman who experienced illness herself, reversed it, sustained it, and was committed to helping other women do nothing short of that. So that part really stood out to me. She also talked about how not every client is a good client for her. How she really wanted to make sure that the people who came on board were really committed to their transformation and their healing, and that it wasn't her giving them all the tools and driving the bus, but she would, the program, and she would be a passenger in the bus while the person actually drove the bus. So that was another thing. The third thing that was really interesting, which was probably what really did it, was she pulled up her whiteboard, her virtual whiteboard, and she was asking me, tell me about your symptoms. Tell me about what you've been going through. So I'm listing all, I can't remember, at least 40 symptoms. I mean, symptom after symptom after symptom: emotional, physical, digestive, hormonal, autoimmune. The list went on and on. And we went through that together. And so she listed it out and she said, okay, now tell me how that has affected your relationship with your husband, your relationship with your kids, your ability to function in life, your work, your financial situation. And I kind of told her where I was. And then she said, okay, now think about 5 years ago. Where were you then? And I want you to tell me, kind of draw a line. How does 5 years ago compared to now? And I said, well, it's a lot worse now. I mean, there are, my kidney numbers are now starting to look suspect, and there's inflammation in different parts of my body that now are new, and it's getting really scary. My blood pressure is starting to change now, and like I said, I had that neuropathy, so it was definitely getting more severe in different ways, even though I had some of the other issues kind of under control with Band-Aids, with supplements and things like that. She said, okay, so even with all of the good strategies and tools that you used that gave you temporary relief, even with that, you're still worse now than you were 5 years ago. Yes. Okay. Let's fast forward 5 years. I want you to tell me, if you do what you've been doing, where do you think you will be? Where will you be physically? How will your marriage, what will be the impact on your marriage if you have to rest more, if you have more doctor's visits, more, chasing the dream, if you will? How will that affect your ability to pursue your dream of helping other women transform their health? That is my true passion, why I believe I'm on this earth. One of the reasons why I believe I'm on this earth. How will that affect that? How will it affect your relationship with your family? And I just kind of had a sober moment where I sat back and said, wow, you're right. I would be worse. And I don't want to know what worse is like. I don't want to know what it feels like to be worse than I am right now. I don't want to get to a point where, the symptoms are so bad that now all of a sudden I have to take a medication, or I have to have a procedure, or I have to have something removed, or, something even scarier than that. And I thought about my parents and the different health issues that they have had. My dad had a massive heart attack and almost passed away, but he didn't. He survived it, but it was scary. My mom has had, chronic illnesses, and it's been really hard. And so I had to kind of fast forward and think, well, if I continue on this path, will I end up like my parents? And that really was what did it for me, was to be honest and to have someone in an unemotional way. She wasn't tied to the outcome, to just lay it out and help me to lay it out and kind of see what was going on. And that was what really helped me to decide, okay, this is the last program that I'm going to sign up for. This is it right now. It's going to be me, my commitment, this program. And I told Elena, I said, even though I'm a certified health coach, for an entire year, I'm taking time off from that part, and I'm not going to coach anyone because I can't fully coach anyone if I'm not healed. I'm going to be the patient for a change. I'm going to just sit back and I'm going to absorb the information. I'm going to get to know the program. I'm going to take baby steps. Even though there's some things I already knew intellectually, but I didn't actually do them on a consistent basis. And I'm just going to be in this program and give it my all. And that is what has been making the biggest difference for me.
So, ruin the ending for us. What happened after you made that decision?
So I started the program, and the combination of one-on-one coaching plus the diet, it wasn't just the diet, the troubleshooting part of the diet, plus the emotional healing support, the mental shifts. Week after week, I trusted that the program was going to work. I had my moments. Where I thought, oh my gosh, I'm still feeling this pain, or this is still uncertain. I definitely had a lot of those moments, especially in the beginning. And after about 3 to 4 weeks, I started to, lose weight. Not too much weight, but a small amount of weight. What I wanted to lose, I ended up losing 17 pounds, which is exactly where I wanted to be. I can fit all my clothes now. I don't have to go buy a new wardrobe. So that was great. My the neuropathy went away. My gut basically has been retrained. And it's not just about the probiotics or this or that. It's the collection of everything. It's the sleep. It's the friendships that I've made through the Q&A calls and the accountability that we've been offering to one another, and the support and the Facebook group. I'm typically not a person who monitors Facebook really often when it comes to groups. I'm a member of a lot of different groups. But being in a group where there's a lot of activity going on and there's a lot of people being vulnerable and sharing personal information and sharing, statistics on like how they're improving has made a big difference for me. The one-on-one coaching has been good because, we'll talk about what is needed at the time. So maybe I'm doing great with diet, but I'm really struggling with the anxiety, or my sleep is really not where it needs to be. So, fast forward, I did the 6-month program. I reached 86% healed, 86% symptom free. But I also gained, I'm still on the journey. Okay. And even when I get to 100%, which will come soon, I'm going to be on this journey for the rest of my life. This program is now part of who I am. So it will continue to be a part of me, how I behave, how I think, what I do, what I talk to other people about. The simplicity of it all will be a part of my life for the rest of my life. I know that now. And this is the first time that I can say that out of all of the programs that I've done, all the practitioners I've seen, this is the program where I'm saying and I'm embodying what it stands for, because it has made such an impact on me. And what I started to say before is that I gained things that I didn't know I needed to gain. So I signed up for, hey, I need to reduce these symptoms, or I need to reduce inflammation and have a better digestion and all these different things, and reverse autoimmunity. And I had all these different things on my list. But I didn't know that I would gain confidence in myself more than I had before. I didn't know that the way I showed up in my marriage could change for the better. I didn't know that I could wake up in the morning and just smile and be full of gratitude. And oftentimes I'll say, today's the best day of my life. Today's the best day of my life. And I just wake up and just I'll turn on meditations, or I'll write, or I zoom out and I see life differently now. And so I gain those things, but I didn't know I would gain them because I didn't know I needed them. I didn't know I was missing them. And it was a bonus. It was icing on the cake for me, in my journey. Plus I gained, opportunity to coach for 360, which is a dream. It's an absolute dream.
So I'm curious about the part where you said that the women are sharing vulnerable things in the Facebook group, and what that did to your belief after you got in the program and you're starting to see other women hear the true ups and downs of other women on the same journey.
Yeah, I think what it did for me is it gave me a reality check on what women across the world are going through. And it helped me to understand that even when I see someone, whether they're at work or I come across someone on the street, that you never know what someone's going through. And when they are vulnerable enough to share personal information in a group like that, that was something that I wanted to be a part of, but also it inspired me to keep going. So to see that someone else was posting, hey, I did the healing code, and I, started to experience all of this relief and release, and now my diet is better and I'm not as addicted to food anymore, or, just so many different things. And so when I would read it, I would think, number one, great for her, but also, wow, we're all doing this. Like we're actually doing this. Transformation is not for someone who's not willing to and ready to sacrifice and make changes. And the fact that I'm in a group with women who have signed up to transform and not just put a temporary band-aid is, to me, it's an honor. So anytime I see that, it just reminds me that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And now that I'm a coach here, in my mind, I'm still a client. I'm a forever client. Because every time I see that someone is taking control of their health and making changes, eating healthy, nourishing their body, getting rest, that's a reminder to me that we're all in this together, and that I'm a part of that elite group of women who are actually able to do the work and get the results.
Thing. So there's one more piece that I want to circle back to, which is that you said it was another challenge for you to stomach the financial part of this.
Yeah.
And we were talking recently as friends about this, and you said something really powerful to me, which was that you don't take it back. You don't regret it for a second. Can you tell us what that's been like for you?
Well, hindsight 2020, it's chump change now to me, now that I know the value of the program. But before that, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I have spent probably, I don't know, maybe $80,000, $70,000 on stuff over the years. If I had to guess. So, and the programs that I've signed up for have typically been a practitioner with, a way of doing things, but they didn't include any of the other pieces that the program had to offer. So I just had to think about it. It was definitely a sacrifice, but it was worth it. Now I know it's worth it. And I'm glad that, when I talked to Elena, we were talking through this, and she even helped me. Hey, what are some creative things that you can come up with that could help you to make the money so you didn't have to come out of pocket? How do we work together on this? I want to make sure that you get the benefit out of it. And so we came up with some ideas, and I, took on a few side projects, but in the big scheme of things, it was nothing compared to like how I feel now and how I have felt over this last year. To me, it is, I would do it 1,000 times over.
Well, I appreciate you for saying that and sharing that vulnerably, because there's no shame in needing to get resourceful, especially if you're somebody who has already invested so much, even if it wasn't in bigger investments, even if it was like, excuse my severe language, but death by 1,000 paper cuts, you know?
Yeah. That's a perfect phrase. That's
right. But your resourcefulness and going out there and doing some, correct me if I'm wrong, doing some odd jobs, like finding ways to make more money or to cut out expenses that you had, that I just thought that was a really powerful story.
And, speaking of money, I found out later, I didn't know this in the beginning, but Elena is very experienced when it comes to financial responsibility, financial planning. And so sometimes we would have conversations about my finances and we wouldn't talk about my health because my health was moving along. My physical health was improving, but there were other areas like my marriage and my financial situation that I needed guidance around. So we would shift gears and we would talk about those things. So it's a program that while a lot of people come in for specific health issues and wanting physical relief, we're holistic beings and we can't be separated. I can't be separated from my relationship with my husband or my relationship with my kids or my home or my, or whatever, right? My bank account, that's a part of my life. So we dive into those things and those conversations, and it helps because if I have some relief from financial burdens, guess what happens to my stress levels? Guess what happens to my cortisol levels? Guess what happens to my digestion? Guess what happens to my sleep? They all improve because that burden has been reduced.
And I think that's so important to be learning from somebody who has success in all of those areas so that when you're getting that coaching, you really feel like you can trust it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Danielle, I want to know, what would you, ugly tears, that's hard to imagine, but okay, we'll give it to you. Danielle, what would you say to the woman who's hoping and wishing, like she's watching this and she's wishing that it were true, wishing that it were possible, but she still has a story that, okay, Danielle, like you're one of the lucky ones. Things did turn around for you. Trust me, I've tried everything. I've invested even more than you've invested. This is where I'm at and it's not changing.
Yeah.
What would you like to tell her?
Well, what I would say is, do you believe that you're worth being a healthy woman? Do you believe that your transformation is worth it? Are you worth it? To consider that there's a possibility that you can actually have optimal health, that you can function at a high level, that you can have energy, that you can have clarity, that you can have strong relationships and stand up for yourself and eat the foods that are nourishing. Do you believe that you're worth it? That's the first question. The second thing I would do is, I would share my story. I would share that it is possible. I would share that, if I go out right now online and I look for people who have healed from chronic health conditions, I'll find a lot of stories. There are a lot of advertisements that you see on a regular basis. This person was healed from lupus. This person was healed from MS, right? There's a lot of these different stories out there. But when you see a story, you can get excited about it. And you can look at the person and say, oh, I want that for my life, but not recognize that there's work involved. That person's journey probably was not pretty every single day. They actually had to make changes and be uncomfortable sometimes. So I think the belief system, challenging your belief system, to be open, to ask yourself, are you worth it? Look at the success stories in the program. Look at the website. Look at the statistics. It's very difficult to explain transformation. It's difficult to say, here are the 10 sentences that define this program. It's very difficult because each person's situation is very different. Their physical issues are different. Their emotional issues are different. Their family issues are different. The way things tie together and what the root causes are, very different. So everyone's journey is a little bit different. And so there's a level of quality in the program. There's a level of compassion. There's a level of meticulous detail of diving in and getting down to the little details, you know, and making tweaks and literally walking step by step. It is absolutely possible for you to find healing through this program. Absolutely. Every practitioner, it's responsible to say nothing's guaranteed. I get that. But think about all the people who have gone through this program that have actually offered testimonials. Take some time, watch the videos, look at the test results, and ask yourself, are you worth that? What would your life be like if your symptoms were gone and you had the life of your dreams? How would you live? What type of legacy could you live for your kids? How differently would your family see you? How much more passionate could you be in your relationship? What new hobbies can you approach? There's so many different things that you are able to think about when you allow yourself to go there. And I would just challenge everybody to go there because there's not a single person who isn't worth that type of healing.
And I absolutely agree with you, but I think it's really important that you say you have to challenge yourself to go there, because I'm talking to the women who have been in the situation for 20, 30, 35 years, even just a severe 3 years, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And this has become their new normal. So they might believe that they're worth it. They might be ready to do the work, but that doesn't mean that they actually think that the results that they would dream about are even possible. They might not even be dreaming about them because all they want to do is escape some pain.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I think it's a really tough situation when someone reflects on their issues for decades and they have discouragement. I can relate to that. I've had that discouragement so many times. But if you think about it, sickness will continue as long as there are imbalances. Sickness will continue as long as there's a lack of answers, a lack of consistency. And so you can be sick for 70 years if you're not doing the right things, right? So the amount of time is irrelevant. It's just a matter of circumstance. I was sick for 20 years. That's just because I wasn't doing the right things. And there were certain parts of my life I refused to address. I'm going to be honest. The diet was easy. I was not willing for a really long time to commit to getting better sleep. I was not willing to face the emotional torment that I was going through. Just the anxiety, the fears, the self-doubt. I didn't even know that those played a role in my health, honestly. I just thought they were just part of my DNA, right? So I had to take a leap of faith. And sometimes that's what you have to do in life, is take a leap of faith.
So the last couple of questions, we've been talking about a more severe situation. And but I want to know, I want to know what you would say to somebody who's not a 10 out of 10 pain, but just knows that life could be better, their health could be better, and they're just kind of stuck there because it's not so extreme that they're being pushed to take action.
Well, that's kind of like, there's a lot of 5Ks out there. There's 5Ks for diabetes. There's 5Ks for heart disease. There's 5Ks for breast cancer, right? And most of the people who go to those are passionate because either they've gone through something themselves and it really forced them, or someone they love has gone through it. So it's very difficult sometimes to help someone who is not in a severe situation to see the need for prevention. But if someone is open enough to think about their life and what type of future they want to have, just like people open a 401k or they have insurance or they're thinking about their future, they're thinking about the type of house they want or the type of kids they want or the type of car they want to drive or whatever. They need to think about the future of their health as well and look at the research. What look at the most common illnesses that are out there. Look at autoimmune conditions are on the rise. Diabetes is on the rise. Look at all these different conditions. Look at the mild case and look at the severe case. And ask yourself, if you do exactly what you're doing now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, in your heart of hearts, where do you believe you will be from a health perspective? And do you have anyone in your life who would be inspired if you took control of your health now and started to not just live and function, but thrive? How many people in your life do you know who actually thrive? I don't know a ton. I know some. But how many people in your life do you know who actually thrive? You may not know what you're missing because functioning sometimes feels like it's good enough.
That was so powerful. I want to end there, that we all have a right and an ability to thrive, and it's accessible no matter where you've been, what you've been suffering through, and how long you've been there. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before we say goodnight?
To anybody who's watching the interview, I hope that there was at least one thing that you could relate to and that it would inspire you to take a leap of faith to invest in your health, because you're absolutely worth it.
So is there hope for those of us who might have tried everything there is already to try in the pursuit of getting better? As you just heard, ladies and gentlemen, there is always hope. And sometimes the difference between those who get exactly what they want and those who keep on struggling is that ability to make a decision that seems to be almost irrational, to try something for the last time or one more time. Because if we don't try, we already have the answer anyway. And the answer is no. We keep on staying unhealthy. We keep on suffering. We keep on struggling. And if we do dare to say, maybe this is it, maybe that just one more time, maybe this is me, maybe this is my time, my place, my health, maybe that attempt ends up paying off with dividends like it did for Danielle, who right now is enjoying her life, enjoying working and having no boundaries of what she can do. And she's enjoying now working with clients as my assistant coach as well. So if you find yourself in a similar situation as Danielle, if you are looking for hope beyond hope, for just one more, we call them Hail Marys, and you feel like I need it, I'm just too afraid to take the step, all you have to do is, if you want our help, is simply go to our website, www.360impacthealth.com, and you'll find a contact form there. All you have to do is reach out and let us know, hey, Lena and your team, I want to talk to you. I want to pick your brain for a few minutes and just see what is possible for me. So head on over there. You also will see a button there to book a 15-minute call with my team. Go ahead and do that. There are no obligations and a world of possibilities on the other side of that call. With that said, I want to wish you all a fantastic rest of the day and staying healthy, as right now the world around us seems to be plunging into panic. For those of us who are on this side, who know what is possible for human physiology, for human body, for human psyche, we know that things are always going to get better, and there is always hope beyond hope. And all we have to do sometimes is say yes to our deepest, most amazing dreams that we're sometimes afraid to admit even to our own selves. So have a fantastic and lovely day, ladies and gents. There you have it. I hope you enjoyed today's topic. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the Health Wizard podcast. And please don't forget to tell others about it. If you would like to get more information about me and what I do, how I help amazing human beings just like you to achieve their dream health, go to www.360impacthealth.com. Go to the contact page and shoot me a note. Thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you on the next episode of the Health Wizard podcast. This is your host, Yelena, wishing you optimal natural health.